Well, welcome. Let me get this set up again. Auto dubbing on, save. Save. All right. All right, we're in there. And as long as we're in there, I'm gonna work on this airplane. Much to do. Hopefully somebody comes in and takes this over so I can go spray this thing. Well, I'm about half done. I got the bottom pan ready to go. Start pulling parts out of. And I got a bottom half of a wing mold done. I gotta glue these together and pour the top half. Then we can start pulling parts out of this. So I've changed things up. I went from a balsa stab. This is a plastic. This is just going to be the mold, but I'm going to use this plastic as the mold. And like I said on my other streams, this is just practice for me building a composite airplane. Take apart composite stunner. You got to start out small, so I know what I'm doing. Because I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just faking it. Let's see. Hey, there's Gary.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody will come in to, to start this off because I need to go prime this.
So you making any headway?
Well, I got the bottom mold. I got
Okay.
half a wing mold. And this
Yeah.
there's the bottom half, and then we'll get the top half laid up tonight. And there's the fuselage. I got half the wing done, and I'm working on the stabilizer now. I had a balsa wood one cut, and I put epoxy on it, and it looked like crap. So I'm just going to take this here and prime it up, and then to mold this, I need to trace out a piece on the parting board and sink this down in at 50%. So I need to sink it in, halfway, about a 16th of an inch. And then I can do the mold. So it's a trip. This is a lot of work.
Long process, isn't it?
Yeah. But this mold turned out nice, this one.
Good.
Let me
Good. It's good.
let's see here. We'll give you a camera angle switch. The inside is smooth. But the smartest thing I did was to put that carbon toe in there. It turned out really nice. Might take some resin and fill that right there and sand it. I don't know.
So how thin is your fuselage then when you get done?
How thin is the fuselage going to be?
When you know the side.
It'll be two. This is 4 layers of fiberglass. The fuselage will be 2 layers of glass and 2 layers of carbon.
Okay.
I figured this is going to weigh 1 ounce because this right here weighs about 1.75 ounces. So I figure that I can get a carbon fuselage for 1 ounce. So that's 2 ounces for the fuselage. 2, 3, 4. We'll probably make an airplane for 5 ounces. Plus the bell crank and the push rod and
Mhm.
that crap. That ought to be good enough for a 15.
Does that have just one elevator on one side?
No, it's got two.
It's got two.
Yeah, the original model, the plans say to do it like this. I got epoxy on these, but
Mhm.
it's got a, these are connected together. I'm not going to
Okay.
do that. I made two
Separate.
separate and we'll put a horn in it with a wire. And like I say, it's exactly to the plans, just space age construction. We'll see how it works. I'm hoping I can do it. Well, I know I'm going to do it. It's a matter of
Mhm.
how long is it going to take. Well, it doesn't look like nobody's coming on. What's the deal?
I don't know. You know where Steve is.
He's outlawed tonight, I think. Yep, I think he's being outlawed. Get ready for Brodax? You excited?
I don't know.
You don't have nothing to fly, do you?
No,
Well, maybe we'll have to
that's
fix
all
that.
right. I'd probably get dizzy and fall down.
Nah. Well, I'm glad I found this plastic stuff. Found it at Lowe's. Some type of ceiling tile. Great stuff for patterns and shit.
Mhm.
Would be expensive to do my ceiling though. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 tiles times 11. That's how much it would cost to put them in the ceiling.
Mm. Hey, John Miller's coming.
There we go.
Yay, John. There you go. I knew someone would come in. There he is.
Got to move my camera here. Yeah, that's a different view. Still not right. My cat keeps knocking it off the computer, so I thought I'd move it where he wouldn't knock it off.
Yeah, that one night he did, didn't he? Everything went flying.
Yeah, yeah. So, Sparky, what you grinding on there?
He's
My elevators.
Ah,
Here's the stabilizer.
cool.
It's just a mold.
Yeah,
You got any idea how much a perky should weigh?
not much. You know, it was a racing plane. I would figure. See, what size engine? That was a 15, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Well, 15, like a Fox 15 doesn't weigh very dang much.
it ain't gonna be a fox. Them are
I know,
slow.
but I mean, just I'm trying to. But a 15 by itself, and any 15 doesn't really weigh that much. I'd say you're probably looking at sub 5 ounce for the motor for the engine.
Here's a 15, the Cox 15. It weighs 5.5 ounces.
Okay, so figure right around five, maybe 6.5 with the tank and on it. That has wheels too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So you find any of those little streamline wheels?
we're looking for them.
Because those don't weigh very much. Probably half ounce for the pair for that size. So you're looking at right around 7 ounces for the power and the landing gear and wheels, maybe 7.5 ounces total. And the rest of it is pretty much balsa, and that's a solid wing, I believe, isn't it?
Well, it's a built-up wing.
Okay. Well, I bet you that there have been some built that come in right around 15, 16, 18 ounces.
Okay, I figure the airframe, when I get it done, will be about 5 or 6 ounces.
So you'd be at 12 to 13 ounces with our offhand figures. That'd be pretty light. It'd go like stink.
Yeah, because this piece here, this is the mold. This weighs ounce and 3/4. I'm figuring I can do a carbon fiber part for an ounce and a half. So the full fuselage will be 3 ounces.
Uh-huh.
And then if these if the elevator stabilizer weigh an ounce finished, that's 4 ounces. Let's see, and the wings are going to be an ounce apiece by 6 ounces.
And that even if we're off on the power plant and the weight and that by an ounce, that's still going to be even if it weighed 10 ounces, you'd be 15 ounces into the airplane, you know, which is pretty light. I imagine the light, if you could get it lighter than that, that would be far better. But
I've just never built one of these, you know, I just don't know.
I don't, there's got to be some people on the forum that have built them and raced them. I know that I've seen reports in the past about them, and maybe a shout out to them, ask what their airplanes weighed, ready to go. Might get you the answer you want or need.
Suppose I could build it lighter with less material, but
Well, there's a point, they, I think they got to be a little more rugged than a stunt ship,
yeah,
just
they need to
because.
be able to do a cartwheel.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I'm looking at, I wouldn't try to build it to our standards, but it does have to be light, but not that, we don't want to take away any strength by lightening it up too much.
Okay, here's a question I've been trying to ponder, to think about. Now the engine is going to sit down in the fuselage like so. You, you know,
Right?
this comes right out the center. Would it be better to have the fuel tank below the engine or in the top part of the fuselage to be above the engine? I can't get it right even with the spray bar.
That's a good question. You know, if you if you put it below, it's always going to be have to pull the fuel uphill,
Right, it's going to be lean.
and it's going to be tending to want to go lean. I don't know if that's what you want on a racing ship. I would tend to think, and I may be wrong on this, but I would tend to think I'd want it up a little higher where I could control it more with the needle valve, and it would tend to be not wanting to lean out, but maybe I don't want it to richen out. But I think if you don't have it too high above it, how high above it you got to put it?
Well, I mean, I can fill the whole fuselage with fuel.
Yeah.
I'm just,
What's the plan show? Do they show it?
it didn't even, it shows a coil down here. It's for a four-stroke or, ignition motor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Where does it show its fuel?
On the back of the engine,
Oh
right
my
here.
goodness. Yeah. So they got it pretty well centered. Well, that would be the best if you could do it. Would be to center it,
Yeah,
if there's any possibility.
I'd have to make another fuel tank and cut a little wedge off of this. I guess I could do that. Cut a wedge like that
Right.
and set it down in there.
Because I don't think you'd want it to be tending to go rich or lean. You'd want it to maintain at all times whatever the setting was.
Yeah, I can just use one of these, make a little fuel tank. That would sit it right on the center line. How many
Right.
ounces of fuel do you think it would take to do 16 laps on a 15?
Quarter an ounce, maybe 50, maybe half an ounce.
So not much.
As
Yeah.
fast as those things go, it won't take long because it's half a lap, just boom, and it's there. By the
I
time you
feel.
realize you've let go of it, it's half a lap away.
So
Hey Phil, have you ever built one? You ever been around one?
No, sir. No, sir.
No.
I went and timed Kermit and I timed for him at Brodak last year.
Do you know
First
how
time
much?
I had ever watched him, but I could not believe how fast they made that first half a lap.
Do you know how much Kermit's weighed?
Oh, Kermit didn't have one. I think he's gonna have one, but we watched oh, I can't remember who we watched. We watched several. Well, we watched several of them, but I mean, they're they were all just so quick, we just couldn't believe it. Those little
Yeah, they're
things
fast.
they just scream. Man, when they let go of that thing, it's at the other side of the circle so fast. the guy that launched it's got to really hustle to get the heck out of the way before it comes back around.
Yeah. Uh, we were just talking about how much fuel it would take to do that 16 laps. I figured quarter to half an ounce of fuel. What do you think?
I think half an ounce ought to be enough.
That's 15 sized engine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I might, if I wanted to play it really safe, put a 3/4 ounce tank in it, but I don't believe you need that.
I could put a
It depends
1 tank in
on
there.
how the guy's tuned his engine. If he's got a big Venturi
Yeah.
sucking lots of air and needing lots of fuel.
Well, like Sparky just said, put a 1 ounce tank in it, and then you know you're covered. My
That's true.
049 gets through an entire pattern on 1 ounce, so
That's true. That's true. Well, if you know anybody, ask them how much theirs weigh. What's the average weight on one?
I know nobody that runs this event.
But Phil does.
there's one guy on the net that runs it. I've talked to him several times. He's the guy that owns a body shop in up north. And he comes on here, flies a Nobler with a 25 in it. And I cannot think of his name. This old timer's disease is terrible.
Isn't it fun?
Oh
You get
yeah.
to you get to meet
Yeah.
new people every day.
Hadn't thought of it like that. No, people you just can't remember the darn names.
Right.
I've
that's
always
what I
been
mean.
bad with names, but the last year or two, man,
Look right at him and can't remember.
yeah. I think of
Ah.
his name in a minute. I'll think of his name in a minute. But oh Lord, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Tell her to bring some for all of us.
Ooh, Lord, I got to get something to go under this. This sucker is hot.
She had to
Anyway,
cook it.
yeah, it's chicken stew, chicken pot pie,
Chicken stew. Oh,
homemade chicken pot pie, and she is very good at this. Oh
Keep
Lordy.
that up. We'll all be over for dinners here sometime this
Well,
year.
that's all right. We got a big table in there. We don't use it much anymore, but we got a great big table in the dining room. We got a fancy eating room in there with 8 seats around it.
8
We
seats.
love to use it. Yeah, we got 8 chairs
My
around
goodness.
it. Only time we ever all get together anymore is holidays, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, and usually Grandma's birthday, but we didn't even do that this year. Anyway, let's see what this. Anyway, I'll get it in a minute. It's steaming too hard right now.
Did you get any painting done this week?
No, raining.
Well, that's a good excuse. Okay. We said you just said
I
that.
did go flying. I did go flying yesterday.
Did you break
I'd love to
anything?
get somebody. I'd love to talk to somebody that knows something about Fioretti timers. I'm trying to run one on a badass ESC, and it sounds like when you set the base time, you got 3 times you set. You got a base time, you got one that comes up to, and then you got a max time. And it sounds like it's bouncing off the middle one and coming back, all the way around. But as soon as you pull the nose up, it runs constant.
Huh.
And it's pulling plenty hard. I've got line tension everywhere, but I don't understand. I got to play with this a little bit more. I may end up having to put a jetty back in it.
I've got a
that's
few
good.
ready, but I haven't used it.
They work great. I'll tell you.
Primarily because I don't have the right ESC for it.
Well, I was trying to prove that you could use a Fioretti timer and use a badass ESC, but I'm beginning. It may work, but I got to thinking about it. I took the time out of the Revolution and put it in this plane. That's coming out of a jetty timer and ESC and going into a badass ESC, and they're both the same timer, but the ESCs were different. and it just might not work. I don't know. So far, I think it's not going to have headroom. We'll see. I'll play
Yeah.
with it some more.
Play with it.
Well, I can tell you right now, that thing is strong. Good gracious, that thing's strong.
Is it? What, you got a badass motor on it? Which one you got?
It's just a 3515 on 6 cells with a fear ready timer and a badass ESC. But I got to get the timing straightened out. But I'm telling you what, once I get that done, it's on a badass 12.6 pusher prop. John, I'm telling you what, this thing will pull you off your feet. I'm talking
Well,
even. I'm
yeah,
talking even
it's got
overheads are.
it's got a lot of line tension you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
What kind of offsets you got on there? You got motor
1
offset, or
1/4. I didn't even go 1.5. Went 1 1/4. I thought, well, these washers are a little
try
bit too
going straight
skinny.
ahead?
Hmm?
Try mounting it straight ahead and
No,
mounting.
no, I like it the way it is because I've got line tension up there now.
Okay.
Before it had I got the line tension right down here, but when it went overhead, it just didn't have any. And Kermit's
Well,
having the same problem. We don't have any line tension overhead, so don't
did
put
you
a
try?
degree and a
Did you
half
try
of down
move?
in it. Hmm?
Did you try moving your lead outs a little bit?
Well, we moved the lead. I moved my lead outs and got it right, and then uh, did something I hadn't thought about. I moved the battery a little further forward, makes it feel a little nose heavy, but daggum, it flies good.
Well, that's good.
Excuse me.
I
I
picked
think
up
it's
a
going to
30.
work.
I picked up a 3515 from a guy. It looks brand new,
Hmm.
and I got it for a good price. I was going to put that in the profile Trailblazer.
I'm putting one in my Trailblazer. I've got a 3515 badass, and I've got a 3515 Cobra. And whatever nose weight it needs, that's the one it's going to get.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder. I mean, I know you like using the pusher props. I like using the tractor props just because there's so many of them. And I'm used to trimming an airplane for a prop going that way. I don't have to make any
It was
change.
just a challenge. It was just a challenge. I was challenged to try it,
What
and
did you think?
it helps. It helps the tractor prop. The pusher prop works better in the hourglass. That one turn of the hourglass, the coffin corner on the hourglass, it works better. There's some other places where the plane gets loose that you're not used to getting loose, but they're down here where you can do something with it. If it gets loose up there, it's scary. If it gets loose down here, you just take a step
Well,
back. I mean, it's no big deal.
I had one of the early legacies that I built,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a problem with that corner up there on that hourglass. So what I did, that rudder back there, I was able to put a little tiny Ravy rudder back there, because of the shape of the rudder. It was relatively small. And I hooked it up and got adjusted a little bit. And now when I came up with that, when I'd hit that down on that there, man, you could feel it tighten up because it throw that rudder in there, and that took care of the problem for me.
Well, I've been trying to figure out on my planes, Mustang and some others, how to work that rod that I kept
The
fighting how to work that rod that comes, use Keith Trostle's system, that little sliding bar. I built all that and put it in the plane. I couldn't get happy with it because I'm forever. In the spring, I have a whole lot of elevator. For the summer, I back it off a little bit. Or I got that backwards. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I
yeah,
continually making trim changes.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me
that,
get to the
that
chat for a second. That guy's name, Rick, is Al Ferraro.
Al Ferreira, that's right. Sorry, Al, brain fart.
I'm maybe I'm lazy, but I'm kind of the school that I get the trim. I get it trimmed to where I like the way I'm flying. Of course, I'm flying at almost 5,000 feet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll trim it to where it feels good and works good for me. And it feels good and works for me good at lower altitudes. Uh, and I don't have to do much when I go over to Denver. I don't hardly have to do anything, as far as changes. So I wind up with, and I keep it that way all year round. And I've never seen a need to make any changes once I got it in there. Oh, there's small changes you make, like prop or, you know what I'm saying. A real hot day at low altitude is a little different than a real hot day at high altitude, things like that. But
I can't believe I don't have his phone number.
Well, it's unfortunately it's a sickness, but I'm afraid I am afflicted with it. I like to tinker.
that's all right. Just keep a notebook so you know where you were and where you went.
That's it. That's the secret to the whole thing. And you make sure you make marks on everything. This is where it was. This is where you move it to. And put a scale on it, and you go up one mark at a time. Or if you go up 3 marks, be sure and mark that. But an eighth of an inch. Everybody's got that slider on the elevator. That's probably 3/4 of an inch. When you set that thing up initially right in the center, and you go fly the plane, and you think, well, that's too sensitive. Well, okay, you slide it down a little bit. But if you slide it down much, you've made another mistake, because now everything, you got to move
Well,
change the length of the push rod, and you got to,
you slowed your elevator response down.
yeah, way down.
And
But you still got the flap going full speed. And everybody says, well, you need to change that down. You need to change your elevator. You need to change your elevator. No, close down your handle.
well,
Close down your handle.
I don't like to do that too much. I don't like the feel of when you get the lead outs real close together,
Oh
Uh,
no, I start out with them pretty broad, and I never
uh,
move more than 1/4 of an inch at a time.
oh,
That's
okay.
that's a 1/4 inch is
That,
a big change for
I've
me.
had them down to that far apart, and I just
No,
I didn't
my
like the
half A's
feel.
like that.
I didn't
My
feel like,
half A, they're real close together, but that's the only thing I've got they're that close
yeah.
together.
Uh, what I do when I set it up, I sit down, I figure I figure my control system out. I know what I want to start with on my flaps and elevator. I know what I want for the ratio, and so I just I just do the ratios, a little formula for figuring the ratios, and I figure how much I want. I figure my maximum movement on my bell crank is 45 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
one way to the other way. So I've got 45 degrees, and I figure the length of my where the push rod comes off of the bell crank, and how much I want in movement on the flap, which is usually I usually stick right around 26 to 27, 28 degrees maximum on the flaps, and then on the elevator I go back and I want about 32, 33, 34 on the elevator. So I set it all up that way to begin with. And
Mm-hmm.
now when I get out and fly it, if I'm not turning right, I don't have enough turn, then I know I can go ahead and shorten that, that ratio on the elevator. Or if it's turning too fast, I can lengthen it. It gives me I know where I'm starting out, and where it usually works for me pretty good. And then from there out, it's a little easier for me to trim that way.
Mm-hmm. I can't
Our
get this
airplanes
to.
use 15 degrees. I'd be surprised.
I
Uh,
I know they don't use
Not
that
much more than
much.
that.
They The only reason you have any more than that is for a panic turn.
I made a few of those.
Joe
Yeah,
Gilbert, Joe Gilbert taught me that got to have the handle spacing as wide as possible.
I agree with you. You want to slow that sucker down. You want it, and you want it so you can fly it with your fingertips, you know, like
There's a
that.
lot to trimming. There's different ways to get the same feeling. More nose weight, less handle spacing, less elevator movement. It all ends up, everything's a trade-off. It ends up at the same spot, but how do you get there?
Well, yeah, but you know, no, too much nose weight makes the airplane fly different than with it right where it should be, or
Well,
be,
where
or
should it be? It's different for everybody.
that's true. But the airplane will tell you where it wants it to be, in my opinion, anyway.
For you, you know,
No,
if you
no, it's for the airplane. I
no,
hold the handle
if you trim your airplane to where you think it's trimmed for the airplane, and I get it, I'll bet you that I don't like it.
Probably not, because you're trimming and you're holding things differently. When I do a loop, I hold my hand, I pull back whatever degrees it takes to start the loop and get the right size, and I hold that angle all the way around. And if if the loop opens up, I know it's nose heavy. If the plane tightens up, I know it's tail heavy, because if it tightens up, the weight is throwing the tail out. If I just so I trim it to where in the round loops to where when I do that loop and I hold that handle steady, I don't change the angle, that it tracks and comes right back at the same level it went in.
That's a
Then
lot
I
more
know
fun
it's
plane to
turned.
fly like that.
Huh?
It's a lot more fun to fly one like that than one you have to make 8 different changes as you go around every loop.
Well, and those changes show up in front of the judges too.
Yeah, sure do. I used
It's
to I
like,
used to get I used to get kidded by some of the judges in Charlotte that I made the roundest loops, and the plane that I was flying, I thought it was kind of funny because I just hauled up and held it, and the plane just made beautiful loops. It
yeah,
was a stunt wagon, and it just had beautiful loops. It's hanging
well,
downstairs, but it's one that was on the calendar this year, but it's retired now.
yeah. Well, like Ken Culbertson with his trifecta thing, his hammerhead that he's
Hmm.
working with a little canard up front and twin engine and that.
Yeah,
Looks like a neat airplane. He
yeah,
it was jumping on him, you know,
yeah.
and he was having a trouble. So he said I don't know if you read it. He posted. He said he decided to make about 5 changes all at once. He did all kinds of things to basically change deaden out the sensitivity a little bit. But in reality, where I realized where he had it balanced at 25% of the mean aerodynamic chord. Well, that's where you'd
Hmm.
balance it if you didn't have the canard on it. Now, the canard on the front moves your CG forward. You have to move your CG forward because it's taking some of the, if you had an airplane and all it had was a canard up front, that's your center of gravity would be some percentage ahead of the leading edge of the wing.
Hmm.
The guy with the best rounds is Bob Hunt.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he does have good rounds.
Well,
Sparky,
then,
look on the chat.
Oh,
I've
crap.
tried getting it to you a couple different ways. I just put it up there this time.
Look on the chat. I don't see nothing on the chat.
I just put my address on the chat box at the bottom.
not the chat on the,
It should be. Everybody should see it because it says to everyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's on the chat on here, not the chat on the,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
see
I
my
sent it.
name. It says Sparky.
Well, look down at the bottom.
Yeah, there's nothing there but Sparky.
Oh Lord, I
How
don't
come you can't
understand
send
that.
it to me on Stunt Hangar?
I sent it to you on Stunt Hangar
No,
twice.
no, you did not. Who are you sending it to? Oh, here
Try
we go.
that. Look at it now.
It came up. All right. Shit, might as well just wait to Brodak and save the shipping. Where's my phone?
Well, you're probably about right now.
It's only a month away. A little over a
Yeah,
month.
you're probably right now. I couldn't get it painted now because the dang weather just keeps it. Every time I think we're gonna get a pretty day, it rains.
When you
I don't
see
know
it
what's
coming
going
out
on.
long.
This is the wettest season we've had. I mean, wettest first of the year we've had in a good while. But
Wait till
God, it rains a
hurricane
lot.
season starts.
Do what?
Say, wait till hurricane season starts.
Oh, I don't even want to think about hurricane season. Man, this year has been it's been hard. My buddies up in the mountains got just destroyed, wiped out. And now two of the rivers that we love to trout fish, you can't even get to them. They're so full of trees and debris, you can't even think about fishing them.
Wow.
There's probably fish in there, but you can't get to it. There's the old mill that used to be on the top of the hill. It's now down at the bottom the river used to come down and make a sharp turn, and right there in that sharp turn is where we all used to love to fish because it was a deep hole on the outside. Well, the mill is in the deep hole. And they're trying to clean it out with backhoes, but that was a big mill. And it was an old mill from the 1900s, and it's all wood. And it's, oh God, what a mess.
Hey, Phil,
People can say what? Huh?
I think I would wait till Brodex because I'll bet you that's going to be $100 to ship that.
All right, just hang on to it then. Bring it to Rodak and I'll pick it up. I'm going to be there to pick up some other stuff anyway. So we'll get there. Just hang on to it and I'll pick it up at Brodak then. But I tell you what, everybody keeps telling me, I keep hearing all these stories about FEMA's doing this, and FEMA ain't done a dead gum thing.
I hear you. FEMA.
Oh,
They ain't done a darn thing.
well, I want to know what they're doing with our gas tax money.
Spending it.
Yeah, but not on roads.
No, not on roads. God, our roads are the worst they've been since I've had my driver's license.
You know, they want to raise our taxes to pay for the roads. Well, what
Oh,
happened
yeah.
to the money you already got?
Yeah. Well, North Carolina is known as the highest taxed gasoline in the country. And I know we're not the
California,
highest
maybe.
price, we're not the highest priced gas, but we're the highest taxed gas in the country. But you look at what it's doing. We've always been the good road state. Well, that's a joke now. You go out now, and if you can keep the front end in line 3 months, you've done well.
Stuart, what's happening in Canada?
Hey,
Nothing. Not
Nothing?
much. So just waiting for warm weather.
Al Ferraro,
Me
if you're
too.
watching this, please give me a call, would you?
You get any flying in?
Well, no, not yet. Actually, maybe tomorrow. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Now here your buddy ain't missed a day in like 400 days, and you can't get out and get a flight in. Come on.
He's crazy though.
I will not argue with you there. I think the world of him, but he's a little crazy.
I don't know. He flies in his backyard a lot, but I talked to Brad today, and I don't know how it's going to be getting back there because gets real muddy trying to get back to the field. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We went out Thursday yesterday. And God, I couldn't believe the field was no, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday afternoon. Anyway, we went out there and flew, and the field was a mess. The lawn people showed up while we were out there and thought we were supposed to get out of the way and let them get in there and mow. And I thought, you got 10 acres over there, and you got this little strip around where we're flying, and you want us to pick up and leave so you can mow this little strip that you don't mow with a butterfly mower anyway. I mean, they never have. And this one guy thought he was going to throw his weight around, and I walked over and I said, call Al Grisham and have him give Philip a call. You know Mr. Grisham? Yeah, I worked there for 30 years. Yeah, I remember Mr. Grisham. Well, we didn't get into more argument. He went on and mowed the field. I get so tired of those idiots trying to play. I can't mow while you're down there. Yes, you can. Get your butt
At
in
least you
gear and
got a
get
field
busy.
to mow. We got to get a rowboat to get to our field.
Yeah. Well, Sparky, ours ain't much different, buddy. You step on it, you better be wearing boots because it's squish, squish, squish everywhere it's not concrete.
Oh, it's nice living in the desert where I got all these dry lakes to fly on.
Yeah, but you get sand in your motors.
Got all that
Well,
nice wind too.
yeah, well, you get wind, yeah, we get
And
sand,
thin air. And in
thin
summertime,
air,
you get god awful heat.
monster um, thermals. Yeah.
Yeah, now that I'd like to come see you, but I'd like to bring some of my RC sailplanes.
Oh yeah, yeah, you'd enjoy it. You get out there, sometimes you look out there and you can actually see the air shimmering. You
Yeah.
know, it's
I
just
got a buddy that came to North Carolina 3 summers in a row trying to get his level 5. It's an 8 hour uh, ridge lift flight. It's not
uh,
not riding thermals. It's riding ridge lift or riding I've forgotten what to call it. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
anyway, where you throw it down a hill and ride the air currents from coming uphill. 3 summers he came and tried it and couldn't get it. He went out to California and went out there one trip and borrowed a sailplane and got his, I think it was five, whatever. I don't even know what the thing is when it's a thermal flight, but he got it with a borrowed Aquila. Aquila is not known as a wonderful thermal plane. It's a
Right,
good one,
right.
but it's not wonderful. But he got it first try. I said, well, that just tells me I've got friends out west. If I ever get back on my level 5, I'll have to go out west because I went
Oh,
down
I
Kitty
could
Hawk and
show you a
it's,
dry lake bed that you'd just fall in love with.
man, Kitty Hawk's rough. You have to let that plane get up so high. It's a little bitty dot in the sky and you're watching it for hours. If storm comes in and the clouds are lower than the airplane,
You got to dive, put it in a spin, bring it down.
that's it. I
Uh,
just full rudder and full elevator and let it, because it didn't have spoilers.
yeah. Did you see on the forum where a fellow crashed his airplane, had a wing and tail section, so he built he remembered his little RC plane, the swivel stick,
Oh yeah.
and that's a cute looking look. But my question is this: that fuselage is half-inch thick.
Mhm.
Is it a profile?
Sure. I don't know. I don't know what they're
It's
gonna call
it's
it.
laying on its side, but it's the right measurements.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm supposed to get up and go in the morning and help out a bunch of vets go fishing, and I have pulled a growing muscle, and I'm gonna tell you what. I understand LeBron James being disgusted that he's gonna miss a week of basketball because he's having the same kind of pain I'm having, and he probably makes $1 million a game. There was 3 games he was supposed to play this week.
Hmm.
Mm. I'm telling you what, that's something you go try to move and nothing doing, and all of a sudden, gotcha.
There's only one there's one sure cure for that, but I don't think you'd want to do
No, I don't want to cut my leg off.
it.
No, boy, that thing hurt so. I swung. I went to go bowling, and everywhere I've ever bowled, you go up there. I'm right-handed, so you go up to set the ball down, and you let your left foot slide so that you can get down low enough to set that ball down. Well, I didn't realize when you're a senior, they don't worry about you setting the ball down. Throwing it halfway down the lane is perfectly acceptable. But at the Y, the lane up there is not slick. It is tacky. They don't want anybody falling and getting hurt. Oh boy, you put your foot up there and plant it and thinking you're going to slide, and you can hurt yourself bad. Trust me. Oof,
From the words of
telling
my
you.
dad, don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
You can
Now
do the
you tell me,
old
Sparky.
you can do the old man shuffle up to the line with both hands.
Hey, we got a guy that's got to be. I mean, Wednesday from 1 to 3 is the old people's time. The senior citizen time,
Senior
and
bowling.
senior bowling, and we go in there. It's about $2 a game is what it works out to. We got a guy that goes up there and he walks up to the line and takes that ball and he doesn't even move it until he gets right up to the line, and then he takes it back and drops it. It goes about 3 feet out in front of him, but about 1.5 feet high. Boom, and rolls down there. Just that sucker beats me about every other game. I don't know how
Yeah,
he does it.
it's
He
practice.
is
He's been practicing a long time.
he's been doing it a long time, I'm telling you, but he's good. He makes out like he can't do it, but he'll once in a while he'll pick up a different ball and go up there and sling it. And you just, why is he throwing it slow? He said that's the way he likes to bowl. Who might
You
argue?
know,
Heck, he's beating me.
bowling with Gordy, you got to understand, Gordy's a natural left-hander,
Yeah.
but he went to Catholic school.
Oh, they made him a right-hander.
So he's ambidextrous. He can bowl right-handed or left-handed. He bowls
Mhm.
best left-handed, but he can do it right-handed if he wants to.
Mhm.
And that sucker, he got on a tear after not bowling for years, for a couple, 10, 15 years ago. For about 2 years, he was bowling in the high 200s. You know, I mean, 260, 260 and above.
Oh man.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, Gordy's the type of individual, you probably always run into him. If, if, if you could swim upstream at 5 miles an hour, he's going to get in there and do it at 7.
Yeah.
You know,
Kind of
if,
person just really aggravates the crap out of it. If he wasn't such a likable person, you just plain hate him.
well, he can do any dang thing he wants, or at least he used to
Mhm.
be able to, and he can do it pretty dang good, you know.
Yeah.
He showed me
He's an
some of
ornery
his,
cuss, but that's the reason we all like him so much.
yeah, he showed me, he went and took up, hand loading and shooting, target shooting and all that here a
Mhm.
couple years ago. And he showed me some of his patterns, My goodness, he's grouping a sub-minute of angle. Yeah. So
Man, I tell
anyway,
you.
and that's
Well,
why he
tell me,
was staying good at combat and at stunt.
yeah. Well, tell me something. Does anybody know, just to get back on toy airplanes, does anybody know anywhere to get some good, decent, at least decent, lightweight wooden 3-blade props?
What
You
size?
know,
12.6.
Yeah, I know where to get one. My box
Uh,
over there.
I've
Eternity.
got,
Let me get
I've,
one.
I've got a bunch of those Chinese ones, those Zors. They work pretty good. They weren't too expensive. I got them through Amazon.
Well, I
Beautiful
think I'm gonna try
props.
to find some and then see if I can find some that are pushers. If I can, I'm gonna get a couple and try them. The guy that does the timer that I use,
Where the hell
I'll
they
be
are?
able to say his name again in a minute. Right now, I can't get it to come out right. Anyway, he says use a 3-blade prop if at all possible because there's less vibration and less whatever on it. And I don't know if I believe that or not because I was flying the plane on a 3-blade, but I was flying it on a 3-blade uh, uh, master air screw, and that thing that it's just got awful heavy. That propeller is so heavy.
There
So
it is, right
I
there.
think there
There
you
you go.
go.
That's a Zor, isn't it?
No,
No, that's
Eternity.
Turnigy. I got to get some of those.
Aren't they made the same place? They look pretty much the
Yeah, it's the
same.
same. It's the same prop.
Yeah,
This is a 12.6.
that's a beautiful prop.
Yeah,
It is a pretty
See,
prop.
see how they got that pinned? I really like the way they did that.
Yeah,
yeah.
looks like it won't fly apart.
Yeah, and I like the shape of the blades.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
nice
gonna have to
prop.
try to get some. I'm gonna try to get some of those.
I
I wonder if they make them go in the other direction.
think they do. And at least they make some in that other direction.
Yeah, I'll look them up. Thank you. That's a good idea. And I'm telling
You
you.
can look them up under Turnigee or Zor. And I think there's another one that they make. They're all made in the
Yeah,
same.
badass. It's all the same company.
Yeah, Badass props are the same company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Badass, I don't think makes any three blades yet, but they probably will.
It's all the same prop. All you gotta do is looks like it came out of the same mold.
Yeah. I just have to try to get some. I'll call him tomorrow and find out if well, I won't call him tomorrow. I'll call him Monday, see if he's got some. If he's got them or going to get them, I'm going to get some and put it on the bird because that thing,
Which bird?
I'm telling the SV11, I'm playing with the SV11 right now.
Okay.
I'm getting ready. I'm working on the ombre, Tommy's ombre, and I'm going to get it finished up and try to start flying it. And then the next one will be probably a Ringmaster 576. I want to finish that and fly it for fun.
Yeah.
But the next big one will be a Bob Hunt's.
Genesis
Uh,
or
no,
Twin?
no, the Crossfire
Oh, Crossfire.
XLTC.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob built me a wing for it a year or two ago, and I had to put it on the shelf for a while. But it's
What's your buddy's name that was going to be building the little twin boomer that
Buddy Barbie.
Buddy Barbie?
Buddy Barbie. He's probably watching tonight.
Did he get started on it? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen Buddy lately. I was asking about him the other day. I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, and well, he was at lunch 2 weeks ago, but I think his wife has just had some surgery, and he's probably been out of shape and helping her, working
Well,
with her.
that's understandable. You got to take care of first
Yeah,
things first.
but he's one of those guys that he won't do anything for a while, and then he'll be great guns. I mean, Katie bar the door, great guns, and he'll get it done, and then you never
Stop
know.
for a while and take a break.
Yeah, yeah, he'll slow down, take a break, just fly
I,
what he's got for a while.
I've taken a
And
break
then
for
when
the
he
last
builds,
7 years.
He did what?
Say, I've taken a break for the last 7 years as far as building
Yeah.
goes.
Well, I'm taking a break right now only in that it's raining so much I can't paint and my shop is such a mess. I decided to just take some time off and put stuff in boxes and get it up off the table so I got some room to work. I haven't
Don't
actually
leave it on the
glued
floor where
anything
you might
together
trip
in
and
about
fall on it.
3 weeks.
Don't leave
Do
it on the
what?
floor where you might trip and fall on it.
Oh, no. I'm putting it up. I'm getting it up out of the way. I've got so
Yeah.
much crap laying in the floor that I've started going through and I said, am I going to use this in the next 6 months? And if I'm not, I put it in a box and I go put it in the back of my pickup. I took a bunch of stuff out to the field and just gave it away.
Really?
I'm not going to use it. If I'm not going to use it, I'm going to get it out of my darn way because I'm tired of tripping over it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff. I've kind of changed gears in the last year or two. Instead of all these tuned pipe airplanes, I mean, I was set up to have about 4 tuned pipe airplanes, and I sold Lynn the big one and sold another guy the next one. I've sold several kits and engines, not finished airplanes. I've give some finished airplanes away too anyway, but I got somebody wanting another one, but he won't come get it, and I'm not taking the darn thing 6 hours to him. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So he might get it, but if he does, it'll be in August when I go that way to go to the Nats. But I don't know. I've just kind of changed gears and going the electric route and just going to relax. If it's not a old timer or classic, I don't even think about putting a motor in it anymore. I think about I don't think about putting an engine in it. I think about putting a motor in it. And
Well,
we'll see what comes up.
I'm waiting for you to get that LE done because you're going to be
That
surprised.
LE is going to be a while because I pushed it aside to build the
You know what's going to happen when you finally do build that and you take it out to fly. You say, "Oh my goodness, I should have finished this a long time ago.
Probably so.
Yo,
But I'm gonna do that Trailblazer because I just love that wing. That
I love that
Trailblazer's got
wing
the most
too.
beautiful wing. I
It
want to
is
get that
it is
one.
a nice wing, you know.
Yeah, I want to get that one done. And the problem is I've got about 12 planes I want to build.
Uh-huh.
And I've got several downstairs that are built and just need to be painted. And I've got to find time to do it. I worked a little bit yesterday on the shop. For Christmas, my daughter and my wife got me a inverter generator. Yes, it's electric. It builds electricity, but it does it on the natural gas. So I built a little stand. I'm building a little stand to go out beside my ramp on my building, so I can just roll it outside and roll it over on that, crank it, and hook it up to the gas tank, natural gas, propane gas tank, and fire it up and plug a cord into it and run my shop. It's big enough to run the whole shop. It's much bigger than I need to run the whole shop. This thing would almost run the house. But anyway, I'm hoping I can get that going and get everything working here in the next few months to get primarily the paint booth done. Because I've
Yeah,
got
you need
several
that.
planes that need doing, and
You need that. That's your big bottleneck.
yeah, if it's not raining, the wind's blowing. And around here, there's so much construction, everything going on, it's always dusty. But if I can get that going, I can put filters in the windows and two fans that blow out under the garage door. And I can put on a mask and paint. And that's what I intend to do. I don't use any of the fancy stuff like Howard uses. Granted, he gets a much better finish than I get. But I just can't afford $400 a gallon of paint.
Gotcha.
I use
Gotcha on
dope.
that.
I just can't afford
I
that.
I've
And I don't know
gotten to
I wouldn't
where
know how to use it anyway.
I've gotten to where I use a lot of spray cans stuff.
Well, I have a plane that I'm getting ready to paint here in the next few weeks. As soon as this rain dries up, I'm going to finish my humongous. Then I've got an impact paint that's ready for paint, and then I'm going to do, well, hell, it's an Axioma. It's all white. I'm going to do that. I'm going to paint that one, and I'm going to get those three painted. The Axioma will be a spray can. The first two are just dope. Those two are spray can, and then the one after that is a gambler, not a gambler. Forgot the name of it. It's electric, and I'm gonna paint it with that water-based paint with airbrush. So we're gonna see if we can't get some of this done. And I thought about doing my, I, I've thought about doing my Pathfinder profile, which is going to be a twin with the water-based paint, and that still may happen, and then cover it all over with either dope or spray lacquer of some kind. Because no hot fuel, it's electric. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you got ahead of me if you got a Pathfinder, not Pathfinder, Trailblazer Twin in the in the lineup because I haven't finished drawing it yet.
Well, what I did, I cheated. Y'all kept talking about it and kept talking about it. And not Trailblazer Twin, Pathfinder Twin.
Pathfinder Twin. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want to see the Trailblazer Twin. I'd like to do that too. But this one is just the kit, the Brodat kit, and I'm just going to twin the cells on it, extend the nose a little bit so the battery fits. And I'm thinking about, now don't quote me on this because I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not, but I'm thinking about extending that where the battery is so big in the front of the fuselage, running that down and running it back to just in front of the trailing edge and putting a servo up there and putting the two engines on the cells that are real nacelles, not just a piece of wood, and putting retracts in this thing.
Yeah,
There'll be plenty of room under the battery for a nose gear.
Yeah.
And the other two scoot up into the nacelles, and I think it'll fit.
Well, you want to make sure that you sheet the center section all the way out to one bay
Oh,
on the
yeah.
other side of the nacelle.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've already planned on that.
Yeah.
In
But
fact, I've come up with something new that I do to profiles. every profile that I've seen have a failure, have a real problem. It's usually because the guy holding the darn thing squeezes the plane. Now, where does he squeeze it? They always have the hand right beside the fuselage on the leading edge of the wing, but their hand back at near the spar point. Sound familiar, Sparky? That's where you hear one go pop. And
I had a guy
big
poke
hole.
his finger through my leading edge.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I put 1/8 inch square, about 4, uh, like little spars, whatever you call it, from one rib
So,
from the center
yeah.
rib to the second rib, sometimes the third one, out there where when they grab it, they'll have something substantial to grab to. And Sparky's plane getting busted is what made me think of doing this, because I figured, well, it's just people being clumsy that do this. But the guy that got Sparky's knew better. He'd done planes for years, and it was just an accident. But crap happens.
You know what
So
Gordy,
I
you know
said,
what Gordy does?
"What's that?"
Gordy has me, when I draw it, he has me recess that center section where the sheeting goes down so he can put 2 layers. He puts a layer of 16th on and then puts another layer 16th over it for the final. So it's double layered at the leading edge.
1/8 inch. That makes good sense.
How I
makes good
repaired
sense.
mine, was I traced out 2 3/8 ribs, 3/8 thick, and stood them on end. And then over the top of that piece was a piece of 3/16 sanded to the shape of the airfoil.
That should be plenty strong.
Yeah, you won't poke your thumb through that spot again, but there's a whole lot of other spots that can be poked through.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what. That old buzzard can build a beautiful airplane.
Which buzzard?
Sparky. I've looked at 3 of his airplanes now, and I mean, I have the ones he let me pick up and look at.
Yeah.
Well, that I asked to pick up and look at. I have studied, and that old buzzard can build a pretty airplane.
I've watched him build a couple layers.
Yeah, I built
Well,
a
I mean,
few
I've
on.
watched him. I've watched him do them on here, and you think, dang, he's doing a pretty job. He's doing a lot of sanding, da 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 da. But you actually pick that plane up and look at it, and it's hard to find a flaw in one of his airplanes.
Yeah, but they're there.
That's what we all aim for, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's some flaws there, and if you look hard enough, you can find them. But they're stuff that you just can't do nothing about. I mean, none of us are perfect, and there's going to be some flaws. But
Sparky, would you say that the guys you were associating with when you were in Southern California as a kid kind of led you along the way to how you build today?
It's actually my father that did. I flew with Tom Warden and Bill Noyes, and them guys were super craftsmen. But it was my dad who said, if you're going to do it, it's got to be perfect. And he flew speed, and his speed ships were hand rubbed lacquer, and they were just immaculate. It looked like plastic dip. So back then, when I learned how to do it, nobody would tell you how to do anything. So
No, that's for sure.
that's for sure. That's the
That's
way we were in the 60s. People would know how to do it, but they wouldn't tell you a darn thing.
that's why I tell everybody and show everybody online.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. Like I say, you're an ornery old curmudgeon, but you're our ornery old curmudgeon.
Yeah.
I remember one guy he thought he figured out how they got that darn dope so smooth looking like polished plastic. And what he did, he took a ringmaster and he had a pint of clear and he poured it on there on the silk.
Oh, Lord.
And he used a real nice brush to kind of smooth it around because none of us owned anything to spray with. And he got it kind of leveled out, and then he finished it in one coat.
Oh, Lord.
Talk about heavy.
Well, I'll tell you
Well,
this, we're talking about finishing. I I wasn't a big fan of two-part primers, but I've tried this Sherman-Williams primer. Let me get it for you. This is the best stuff I've ever used. This is as good as DC 540.
Uh-oh.
Tell you what, if you go to Sherwin-Williams Industrial paintings and coverings and check out their line of epoxy paints.
This is finish one. It's two-part. I got the hardener in the refrigerator right now, but it took, I mix up 2 ounces. It's a 4-to-1 mix,
Right.
and yeah, it's not as convenient as taking and spraying it out of a spray can. But man, it sands good and it feels great. So I'm gonna start using this.
You see,
And
that's a primer.
yeah, this is primer. It's $50 for a quart.
Sparky, do you ever try, you go to Sherwin-Williams, go to their industrial products, coatings?
I'm going to automotive.
Well, you go to the industrial, you can get a really good epoxy paint.
Yeah.
And you can get it colored any color you want it.
Mm,
Well,
that sounds good.
only place we got around here are house paint stores and automotive paint stores. Sherman-Williams.
That's all we got.
I went to one in Wisconsin in Green Bay. They had one, and I picked up some, and I had it colored. The color it was kind of a light purple color, and it really looked nice. Put that on there, and it had a nice sheen to it. It was totally fuel proof. It was one thin, one light, and one flood coat over the primer, and it was done.
Well, this girl that works there at the Sherman-Williams will mix me any color I want.
Mhm.
It's $50 for just the pigment, but if you find a chip in the book that you want, she'll mix just the pigment and leave the binder out. So
Yeah, I think Sherwin
Wow,
Williams.
that's nice.
I think Sherwin Williams is a source that we ought to look into a little bit more.
and I gotta say, this is Acme. This is the cheapest shit you can get. Finish Acme, finish one. So it's made by the Roadrunner. And
Just as long as you're not the coyote trying to use it.
and let's see, when did I build them Thunderbolts? In 05 and 06. I got a can of Finish One clear urethane out in the garage that I used to paint my Thunderbolts with. That's still good. The hardener
Wow.
is still good. Now
Wow.
that's impressive, and I'll tell you why. I think they have put in or taken something out of their hardeners. Because if you crack the hardener on this now, you got 2 weeks to use the jar hardener and then it'll harden up. But that shit out in the garage is 20 years old almost, and the hardener's still good. I poured it out and it's still liquid inside there. Usually it'd be harder than a rock.
Might be a good question to ask them.
Well, I know they
Yeah.
took something out or put something in it to screw it
How
up.
does it sand though, Sparky?
What? This paint?
Yeah.
The primer? Just like DC
Yeah.
540.
Wow.
It's good shit. It sands better than any, as good as DC 540.
Well, I'll have to get some then.
But you do have to spray it with a spray gun.
Yeah. Well, I've got some pretty good spray guns now, but
Pot life's about 45 minutes.
Woo.
It'll start getting hard. You can't mix it in the gun and leave it set all day.
What do you thin it with?
Nothing.
Nothing. How do you clean the gun?
A lacquer thinner,
Oh, okay.
acetone, whatever.
Sounds like you mix it up and you best spray the whole thing.
Well, they give you enough to make 1 quart. So this can here, they give you this can and a little hardener. And you mix the two together and it gives you 1 quart. Oh, you can't see it. There it is, right there. So it's this can of hardener and this.
All
But
right.
I looked on the can. It's a 4-to-1 mix. So I put 2 ounces in this, in this little. I think it's. I used a little cup like this. I went up to number 2, which is about a little less than 2 ounce, 50 milliliter. And then came up to the second number 2 on the 4-to-1. So let's see here. It's about right there. Where's the ounces? Come on now. Yeah, it's just a little over 2 ounces. And I painted my fuselages and still had some left over. So
That's what I think I'll do. Try to have 2 of them ready to go at a time.
Yeah, for that coat, yeah, you can easily do that.
Yeah.
This should last a year or so. If I don't use it all, but I'm sure that the hardener is going to go away in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
It just
How
hardens up.
expensive is the hardener?
I don't know. It's $50. They have a deal going on now. $50 for this quart can and the hardener together. It's a kit.
Okay.
And I said, hey, do I need any reducer? Nope. Just spray it right as is out of the can. Okay.
Wow. And it sprayed all right. Cool deal.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
Well, I
All
know,
right,
I
well, that's
know
pretty
the
good.
plane I did with the Sherwin-Williams. Boy, that sucker, it looked good for, my poor pitiful spray tech ability.
It does
It's still-
take an hour and a half to dry, though.
Did yours?
Yeah,
Mine didn't take that long.
yeah. Well, I took on a project that I never should have touched. I've just started trying to restore an old barnstormer. I've been wanting to do a barnstormer and I can't find the plans to the one I want. I want the one that's got the cheek cowls on each side. It's actually a little bit bigger than the stock barnstormer. It's what Billy and a few other people have told me. It's a little bit larger. So it's actually a different airplane, but it was built after it was done after the Fox 35 came out, and they figured it had more power than what they were using before. So they increased the size a little bit and put that in it. And then they ended up shrinking back down using the smaller one because the Fox wasn't as strong as they thought. But anyway, long story short, I'm trying to restore this thing, and I figured out the covering on it went all the way from the high point of the wing all the way to the trailing edge. It's supposed to go to the flap, and it had popped up. So I finally figured out how to take big long sticks, just oh shoot, yeah, big sticks, and put on the trailing edge and clamp them together, and put parchment paper on there, and then put thinner on there and just let it run, and it softened the dope up enough that it finally stuck that trailing edge back down. Then I made sure I had the whole thing stuck down good, and then finally I've started being able to put a little paint on there with a brush. Hopefully it won't pop. If it pops loose again, I'm gonna just strip it and just recover it all the way, because this paper looks like he used, I don't know what kind of tissue's on this thing, but I swear it looks like it's got shelf paper on it. But anyway, it's thick, man. You can't where he's patched a hole in it. I thought, man, I'm gonna have to get some body putty to build up that edge because that's thick. But anyway,
I've been using the old, really thick stuff.
yeah. But I started taking this thing apart. I cut the top off the where the fuel tank is, and I thought I was just gonna pop the tank out of it because the tank, you see where the tank's been leaking. So I was gonna pop the tank out of it and fix it, and thought maybe I can put it back in there. Nah, not gonna happen. This puppy he fuel proofed the engine, the tank compartment with Ambroid, and apparently glued this tank in with Ambroid. And I mean, I've got 2 hours so far in cutting the tank out of this thing, and it's nowhere near out yet.
Probably used the whole tube of Ambroid to do that.
He may have. Looks like I'm going to end up cutting a slice out of that tank and just taking a pair of needle nose pliers going in there and just wadding it to get it out of there.
Soak it with acetone.
Hey, that's a good idea. Okay, I'll try that. Thanks, Sparky.
That'll
This sucker,
free it up.
I'm telling you, this thing is in there some kind of tight. But anyway, it's one thing after another here lately. I keep trying to play with stuff and do stuff I shouldn't be doing. It's just all it really adds up to is now you've got another project going at the same time. So it's crazy. I'm trying to do too much, but I'll get there eventually. Now that's a good idea. I've got plenty of those bottles. I mean, plenty of them. I'll have to get me some of those, one of those, and put my mixing sticks in it. It's a good idea. See, Sparky, we are paying attention.
Yeah. Peanuts come in it.
Well, I get dog treats in a jar like that. You can tell Sparky bills a lot because I remember when those 2 jars were new.
I got to get some more next week.
Yeah.
They turn them blue.
I'm
gonna order. I'm gonna have to order some. I see.
A year.
Wow. I haven't used 3 in the last 10 years. The last time I used a whole bunch of that stuff, it was because I had an airplane up putting back together it should have been junked. I just filled all the dings with that stuff, and it flew well enough that a guy bought it.
You know, Phil, I've been thinking ever since you mentioned it, but I'm thinking ought to cut an extra Trailblazer wing and build a super swizzle stick.
A super swizzle stick.
Yeah.
Uh,
And try to fly it in profile.
yeah. Well, I'm working on. I'm getting ready to try to build that laser. I told a fellow I was going to do that laser several years ago and was going to do it, and Vicky's illness and some other things held me up. I didn't do it, and now I've just gotten back on the guy that I wanted to fly it, the guy that I wanted to build it for in the first place, flies a full scale one, and he
Gotcha.
has just announced that he's going to retire at the end of this year. It's his last year flying aerobatics, and I told him, well, I want to come to one of your shows before you retire, since the Winston Air Show is no more. I don't know why they canned it, but they canned it. I want to go to one of your shows. So probably it's just we had a couple of guys that just got really wild trying to wow the crowd and just about bought it a year or two ago. And last time we had the show, and they just said that was it. That's enough. We do not need an airplane hitting the ground and going into the crowd. And they were supposed to fly down the flight line, and this guy decided to fly up across the flight line to increase the whatever. But he got so close to the ground, instead of cutting the crate paper, he went under it, inverted.
Oh.
And that weren't too smart. So anyway, there were several of the guys that on the flight line that just said, my gosh. And Patty Wagstaff, last time she was here, she put on a show that followed all the rules, and everybody's still talking about her show. She's that woman's got wild hair, man. She gets out of the plane, pulls that hat off, and that hair, but she can flat fly that airplane. She is she's one of the most impressive air show pilots I've seen. The most is the guy that flew that SU-31, the pink and white SU-31. That beat all I've ever seen. He was so impressive, it was scary.
Phil, what was the guy's name that flew the twin engine Aero Commander? Because in his day, he was about the hottest thing going.
Yeah, and he was killed in the Air Commander.
Yeah.
Darn it.
I know. I think it starts with an H, but I'm not sure.
Hoover? You talking about Hoover? He flew that in the Mustang. He flew an Air Commander and a Mustang, a yellow Mustang, P-51.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that's the guy I'm
It
thinking about.
might have been him. I remember seeing him in an air show with that thing, and he cut both engines and came down.
I watched him do that at Oshkosh. He got up there, cut both engines, and did his whole aerobatic routine dead stick.
I mean, he was incredible. I think that was Hoover.
And he would land and roll right up to the front of the crowd and stop. Dead stick.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I think that was Hoover, but Bob Hoover.
Yeah,
Bob Hoover. That's it.
Bob Hoover.
But he was incredible. But he was killed in that twin, not the other plane. I talked to somebody once upon a time that was supposed to go up with him the day that he died, and something happened. He was late, and Bob couldn't wait, and he went ahead and flew that plane, that air show routine. And whatever happened in the plane happened, and it crashed it. And the guy was sitting there. He said, if I'd been there, I'd have gotten killed. He said, it's just, I need to thank God for the guy that had the accident that slowed me up, because otherwise I'd be dead.
Yeah.
But Bob Hoover, I saw him perform many times, and he was very good with the Mustang and with the Air Commander. But the one that always impressed me was the guy with the chipmunk, Art Scholes.
I never
Man,
got,
he could do
I never
he could
got
do
to
things
see
with
Art
that chipmunk.
Scholes.
He could do things with that chipmunk that just weren't natural.
You know, he got killed in the movie Top Gun.
Yeah.
I remember when they first brought the first Sukhoi, aerobatic Sukhois to the United States. They brought them to Oshkosh first. They brought it in that big Antonov that was destroyed, and they were there, and they parked the Antonov and our Super Globemaster, where it is, nose to nose. They look like twins, but anyway,
Yeah.
they brought a couple of Russian or Ukrainian pilots. One was this woman. I don't think she weighed much more than 100 pounds, if that.
I doubt she weighed that.
Yeah, and she would take that thing off, and literally she'd hit that power, and she wasn't 5 feet. The tail was up, and short roll out, and she'd pull straight up.
Yeah.
And I watched her do one maneuver there I have never seen done before or since. Now where she's up here hanging on the prop like this, and then she rotated 360 degrees around, and I have to twist my hand back up to it.
I don't know what to call it, but yeah, I remember seeing that too.
And I've never seen it done before or since.
It looked like they teasingly called it a dish rag or something like that, but it just looked like the plane just
and then
when she tumbled, but it wasn't going anywhere. How do you tumble when you're not going anywhere?
Well, and then when she left, she just put the nose down and it flew right out of it.
That's the way he did. He come up center stage and come up knife edge and come up and just stopped center stage and hovered there. And when the plane quit rocking, because he quit wiggling the tail, he brought the tail down to just inches above the ground, less than a foot, and held it there. Went back up to about 6 feet, torque rolled to the left, one full turn, torque rolled to the right, one full turn. Think about that now. And then just sit there for a second, and he just took off. It just put the power to it, and it just took off like it was rolling, and then flopped over, and I mean, he was booking. The
I
power to
was
weight
so
on that
impressed with
thing's
those
got to
little
be
Sukhois.
incredible.
That thing doesn't look to be much bigger around than that. You
No,
know,
it don't look that big, but
about
boy,
a
it can
meter
run.
around, you know,
Yeah.
and and that's 350 horsepower.
Yeah.
If I
I went up
remember.
after he landed that thing. I went up. The wheels are only about this big.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went up to it and I wanted to look at the propeller. The guy was putting the covers over the prop. I said, "Can I look at that for a second, or is that something that I'm not supposed to see?" He says, "No, come and take a look." I went over and took a look at it. That thing has an undercambered prop on it.
Oh, does it?
It's 3 blades and it's undercambered, and I mean it's enough undercambered. You run your hand behind it, you can feel it, and there's no question it's undercambered. That thing
Interesting.
it's probably got a half an inch undercamber in it. But
Well,
that was the most Sukhoi. That was the
I think
most
all those
impressive.
Sukhois that came in on that particular trip went all the way to the Florida Air Service or something, like some company down in
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah. But
Yeah, you're
they
talking
brought
about
those in that
impressive
big.
maneuvers on airplanes. Now, I didn't see this in person. I only saw it in the film, but they showed a movie when I was in the Navy of an F-14 with 0 forward airspeed and 0 altitude. Do you believe that? That means
Wow, it stopped.
it was standing on its tail, and the only thing that was keeping it hovering was the thrust of the engines. Stopped.
Wow,
Wow,
that's a heavy airplane.
it
Yeah,
is.
22 tons,
Yeah.
60-foot
That,
wingspan. It's a big airplane.
How did he get out of it? How did he
that's a
get out
pilot
of
with
it?
some
He
great
climbed
big
straight
steel
up.
ones.
He did, yeah, just went straight up.
Isn't
Huh.
that airplane capable of going through the sound barrier, going straight up?
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah.
They say Mach 2 plus, but one of the guys that flew it said it's closer to 3.
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
They quit making it because it was high maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Folding, but it sure looked neat when it made a high speed turn with those wings all folded back like that.
That was the only airplane with a titanium tube wing box, and they had to specially design the machines to weld that box because you can't weld titanium without it cracking.
Right.
huh.
That was a
Well, I
cool
know
air.
they did one maneuver in the movie Top Gun with that airplane, the last Top Gun, when he crawled in that one that had been foreign.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fake. When I watched the movie, I thought it was fake. And I talked to a guy that my brother knows that has flown F-14s, and he said that's not fake. You yank the right engine full back, floorboard the left one, that thing will turn just on its just and go the other way just that
It's
quick.
flying sideways for a moment.
Where
Yeah,
they showed him taking off on the taxiway? That's
yeah,
not that's not fake either, except
no.
for he waited too long to rotate. He waited to 140 knots. It will take off at 120 knots.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty good.
That's with the wings extended out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So it
Well, I
ain't
tell
very
you what, it
fast.
was an amazing plane.
Yeah. Now the thing that was fake is they knocked the front wheel off and the gear went up. That's bullshit. I ain't
Hmm.
buying.
Well,
And there is a lot of switches back there, and that was the older ones, the A model, before, because that's when I was in '74 when I saw them. They were A models, and they weren't. Those engines in that airplane were not the upgraded engines, and they're much better later on.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, my
Hmm.
understanding with the new NGAD XX, what are they, FA that the Navy's working on, that sucker is has no vertical tails on it and has these engines that have got thrust like 80,000 pounds each.
I think they got scramjets in them myself, but
They very well could have because they're get right up to the edge of space.
I don't know, but I know one thing, those darn things they're getting so complicated now and so fast and I mean,
What
I
they're
just don't
doing,
know how they,
this F-47 that Trump announced, I would
Yeah,
almost bet that it's a composite airplane.
yeah,
oh, I bet it
much
is.
of it is. Th- That airplane is designed around a whole new concept, and we've all been reading about it, and that's having a swarm of drones around it that's controlled by it, and it can do
Yeah,
multiple missions. And I suspect that there'll be a two-seater because I think the pilot's going to have to pay attention to the flying, and backseater will be flying the drones that are around it.
well, the drones are gonna, if somebody fires at it, the drones are gonna take the hit.
Well, and the drones have got AI in them, and they'll take them on them by themselves. You
Yeah,
know, you just tell them which one you want them to go after.
yeah, but I think instead of hitting the big plane, you're gonna hit the drone if you go trying to shoot, because I think a rocket's gonna get either it's gonna hit the flares or it's gonna hit a drone. It
Well,
ain't gonna hit the big
I,
airplane.
I look at it this way: we've got a hypersonic missiles they're shooting at it, and I quite frankly think that the F-47 will probably it's called a three what do they call it? Three times the speed of sound.
Yeah, triple sonic.
But I'll bet you it's more than that. With
Oh, I,
with two engines at 160,000 pounds of thrust.
Depends how
well,
much
what did
you
I say
weigh.
2 years ago? If they cancel the SR-71, they've already got something that's faster than it was.
Yeah, SR
Well,
72.
guess what they've just started showing, the SR-72.
Yep.
Smaller, lighter, less cost half as much to operate it, and it's even faster.
I saw something on the internet today on that about the time when these pilot and co-pilot on the SR-71 were flying over Bering Sea, I believe it was, and four of those Russian, what are they, Foxbats? If
Yeah.
they were the ones that could get real high and were real fast, quite big,
Mm-hmm.
and the four of them
Yeah.
came up and they were trying to box them in, and those airplanes are supposed to be 2,000, 3,000 some odd miles an hour in that. And so these guys in the SR-71 figured there was no way of getting away from them other than they just put the throttles to the wall and just pulled away from it. Pretty soon they were just little dots behind them. They couldn't keep up with them at all.
That airplane runs faster than a bullet. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
the,
It
the
was
funny
original.
the funny story on the SR-71, when I thought you were going to tell it, they were flying up north somewhere,
oh,
and
that one, yes, go ahead.
they passed by the Seattle airport, and they said request a flyby, and they did a low, full afterburner flyby Seattle, and the pilot, when he came back as a civilian, uh, talked to the same controller. Oh no, when he got back to the base, the general says, "Do we have a rule against flybys? On civilian airports?" "No, we don't." "Well, make sure I have one on my desk in the morning." But
Yeah.
he went back to that same airport as a civilian pilot, and he talked to the same controller, and the controller said that he had everybody thrilled, in the tower.
Scared to death too.
Oh yeah.
Big boom. That was Sacramento though, not Seattle.
And then the other one is the speed check. How fast
Oh yeah, yeah.
over the ground. And them guys are funny.
That was funny. You heard that, didn't you, Phil?
Uh-uh.
They were
You might
this
wanna
this
keep
little
this one
Cessna
that long.
172 calls in for a
Oh,
speed
it's
check,
getting good.
and they give him, he's what, 125 mile knots, you know,
Uh-huh.
and so this commercial civilian jet calls in for one, and he's doing 550. He's feeling, then a private jet comes in at just under the speed limit, the speed of sound. Then all of a sudden they hear this guy, military sounding voice, saying, requesting a speech check. It was an SR-72 flying by.
Oh, Lord.
And they said 2,200 miles an hour.
And then
Yeah,
the air
just
became
checking.
silent. The kings of the sky were in the air.
Yep.
You know, they called that thing for years, they called that thing the zipper while it was being developed. I've heard it in Albuquerque at night, but I mean, you couldn't see it. You just heard it. It sounded like somebody took a zipper on a big coat and went, shoo, and it was gone from, one mountain range to the other mountain range, just that quick. And then about 2 hours later, you hear it coming back the other way, and it just sounded the other way. Shoo, just sounded like you zipped a zipper the other way.
Oh,
You
And
know,
I believe we got anti-gravity machines.
I
I
do
believe we
too.
do too.
I do too.
And I
I
You
know
know,
believe
how
we
it
though,
do.
works too. If you look on YouTube for superconductors, they take a magnet, a neodymium magnet, and supercool it with nitrogen, and then drop it, and it hovers. So the principle's there.
Yeah.
I remember it was about 15, somewhere between 15 and 20 years ago, when I first read about the scramjet, and the beads on a string contrail that it leaves.
Hmm.
And I also read that the only known aircraft that had that in it was the top secret
Oops.
Aurora.
Yeah.
And so I'm here, Salt Lake. I'm heading, going north, and I look off to the west a little bit, and I see this airplane, and he is high, but all I'm seeing is beads on a string. And I say, that's got to be that Aurora. And you couldn't hear him. He was that far away. You couldn't hear him. But he made a big turn at speed. And I'm sure that he started out over the Great Salt Lake and wound up halfway over uh, Idaho before he had that turn completed, that 180-degree turn.
Well, all it is a pulse jet, like on speed. It's just a reed valve motor.
Yeah, whatever it is, I think the scramjet doesn't have a reed in it. It uses the airplane. It's more like a ramjet.
It's just a Venturi.
Yeah. Now
I don't.
the SR-72 is supposed to have a combination. They can go from conventional jet to a scramjet and back.
Right. All I got to do is put the air dam down.
Yep.
Of course, I'm sure Brett Buck could explain it better how it works. I got no idea how they run. I just know it's a Venturi engine of some type.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a ramjet, I think they used to have to be around 500, 600 miles an hour before they could operate. But it's like you say, it's like a Venturi, bigger opening. I believe it's a bigger opening, bringing more end, and air in has to go through a thinner area, and that compresses it. And the fire is lit on the other side, and there's enough compression there that it acts like it's in a sealed chamber, and then it
You can
blows
build
that
a
out. Next charge comes in.
you
Of
can
course,
build a crew jet out of 2 beer cans.
yeah.
At least the guys on YouTube can do it. Of course, anything's possible on YouTube.
Well,
I get a
I'll,
kick out of watching these guys build free energy machines, which I know is bullshit.
yeah, it looks interesting though.
The only thing that I can think of that would work as a free energy machine, it'd be pretty low power, as if you've seen those water fountains that are endless. You take a bottle with a straw on, and it goes down and it just keeps looping. The water keeps running out of the bottle.
Yeah, yeah.
If you did that and put a little small turbine of some type to generate some electricity, you might get enough to do, some LEDs, but nothing.
On those machines, the ones that intrigue me though are the ones that are using the magnets on them, and the magnets. There's an energy when you get them opposite polarity or same polarity, they repel, and opposite they attract. When you get them working, you're using the energy that the magnets have. So it's not like you're creating energy. The energy's there, you're just manipulating it. And I think there might be some possibility in that. I wonder about the ones where they're using the springs on a belt carrier on a conrod connecting
That
rod.
ain't happening.
You know, I
That'll
think
wear
what
down.
they got a 200-pound flywheel there, and they get that rolling, and when they get that up to speed, if it's got good bearings on it, it'd take a while for that to run down,
Well, I
but it
don't
will once
understand
they
why
get.
why cars haven't evolved. Remember as kids we had them push cars. They have a kinetic wheel
Yep,
inside.
yep.
You spin it up. You could take a Briggs and Stratton engine and get that wheel spinning in your car, and translate that to power the car.
Sure
You
you
know,
could.
put a clutch on that wheel, and to a transmission, and make the car go. And all it would take would be a Briggs and Stratton engine to keep that wheel going at a certain speed.
We have
Sparky, there you go, trying to be sensible again. You know darn well
Mother
there's no
Earth
money in
News.
that.
Mother Earth News had a really neat set of instructions. They had an article about it, about a diesel electric hybrid car. And he used the old little Buick Opel Cadet, the one they called the little Corvette.
Yeah.
They gutted the engine out of it. They left the transmission, the drivetrain, all that in. And they hooked up because they didn't have all the electric stuff they got now. They hooked up the starter motor for a big jet engine. That was the power. They hooked that up and ran it through the torque converter into the car's system. And what they had is they had a whole bunch of batteries. And they had a Petter diesel, like you use in a sailboat. I think it's 5, 7 horsepower and single cylinder. And it just sits there going boom, 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 boom. And it was turning the generator. And it was a diesel electric hybrid on a gallon of diesel fuel that could travel 125 miles.
Well, when I was a kid, I heard stories about a guy who invented a carburetor that could get 100 miles to the gallon, and he suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, I heard the same story.
I don't doubt it though.
Well, I don't either.
Big
Who's
oil
here?
companies
How
got
you
rid of them.
doing, Carl?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, yeah, I heard the last comment, but when I was growing up, I heard back in the 1930s, 40s, someone invented a carburetor to allow the car to run on water, and the guy that invented it disappeared, and the plans and everything disappeared. And I was told it was because of the big oil companies.
Well, there's a guy on YouTube that makes a car run on water.
Yeah,
It's electrolysis. They turn water to hydrogen.
right.
Yeah.
But now the story that I was told when I was a kid, is there any truth to that? I don't know, but I've heard that. So
Well, my dad and I talked about that, and he made a valid point. What do you do when you burn up all the water?
yeah,
Well, hydrogen being one of the most uh, plentiful substances on the earth, I'm pretty sure that it will recombine.
Yeah, but do you know that the Earth's water is only fresh water is only 2%. I mean, it's a very small, and we got most of it.
Well, that's true. Lake Superior's.
Yeah, we got most fresh water on the planet.
But they're finding and I don't know whether it's fresh or salt, but I heard something, and I didn't read it. I just heard it. Is that they found huge pools of water under the surface of the earth, all over the earth, and I don't know whether it's salty or whether it's fresh.
Yeah, they said that they found a lake underneath one of the oceans.
Yeah.
That but it didn't say whether it was an active lake or if it was, like you said, fresh water or what the deal was. He said they discovered it. So
Yeah. Thing is salty water could be desalinated if you've got a power plant to do it with.
Need
That's,
fire.
pardon?
You just need fire.
Well, that's true. You just need heat is what you need.
Yeah, fire to boil it and catch the steam.
Yep, the Saudis and a lot of the Arab Emirates and that desalinate water for their drinking water because they live in the desert.
But you know what? That water tastes like shit.
Well, I remember on the destroyer I was on, it wasn't that bad.
I hated it.
Did you?
Oh, it's
Well, I'll tell you
terrible.
what, if you go to Aruba, you're going to see the largest, everything on that island comes in on a boat, but they have one of the largest desalination plants in the world. It's the second best water in the world. Dubai has the first, they have the second. And I'm telling you, it really does taste really good.
Huh.
But
Well,
they desalinate there.
that water
But I
on the
brought some of that
destroyer I was
home.
at,
I
that
brought some
water
of
on the
that home to a
destroyer that
friend.
was so dang good.
Best
Sorry,
water I've
did you-
ever had was in Seattle, where they had that public, they got public water and it's always running. The drinking fountains are on the sidewalk and they're always running. And that was good shit. Cold
Well,
and
that's
tasty.
coming right out of the
That is
dang
good
mountain.
water.
Yep.
Yeah. It's cold too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, cold.
Yeah.
So cold
that's
it'll
good water.
make your mouth go numb.
That's one thing
I
Washington
would've-
State has a lot is water and good water.
Yeah. I would have stayed in Seattle except for two things. One, it rains every day
Yep.
and it gets bloody cold.
Ever been up on Burnsides?
Oh yeah.
Go across the
I've
Burnside
been up
Bridge
on Mount
across
St.
the
Helens.
park. You go across the Burnside Bridge and into the waterfront area, and that's where them fountains are.
Yeah. Yeah. Thing about Washington, you go up there at first time you go up there and you wonder what's going on because you go up there and it seems like they're timbering everything. They're timbering everywhere. I mean, it's just being timbered. But if you go back and look at something that was timbered 6 months ago, it's already been replanted and it's all just in trees, little trees. 20 years from now, they'll timber it again because they got those pines. Go ahead. They got those pines up there that grow in 20 years. They got a full size pine tree. They're straight as a dang arrow and they're I don't know how tall, but they're full grown. And they cut them down and do it again.
Anybody know what Fred's a Nelson plug is?
Do what?
A Nelson plug. What size thread is it? Does anybody know?
No.
No, I have a few of them downstairs, but I don't know what they are.
I think a standard plug is quarter 32, but
I think that's right.
When you're in Washington State, Phil, did you ever get over back on the coastal range? There's a spot there where they've got a 10-acre area that you go right, the main highway goes right through it. And it's old growth. It's never been cut.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of that.
And you go
But
in
we
there.
stayed most of
That is
Go
so
ahead.
beautiful.
it is. I got down into California and saw the giant redwoods, and that just enthralled me. I mean, drive through a tree,
Yeah.
and there was a fire in the top of this one tree, and it had been burning for a week, and they hadn't put it out. And finally, this company was putting out a fire somewhere else, and the guy flew half an hour out of his way to come, and he parked over top of that tree and dumped this stuff on it and put the fire out. And the local people about had a fit because you put the fire out. That was our claim to fame. I thought, you idiots, stupid people.
I don't know how many years they've been around, but they've been around a long time.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what,
Stupid
that
people.
tree,
Yeah, they.
that tree was big enough. It has a 2-lane highway through the middle of it,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
and it goes
Yeah.
way yonder up there. It's not a 65-mile-an-hour highway. It's a 35-mile-an-hour highway, but it's a 2-lane road through this tree, and you got room. It's amazing. That's the biggest dang. I saw the thing and I couldn't believe that's a tree.
Have you ever
Living?
seen a bristlecone pine?
Yeah, I did.
Those
And
are, those are the oldest living things on the earth, still
Wow.
alive. And they're not very big. They're just gnarly and all twisted up.
Yeah. And there's a tree in Alaska. I don't remember what it's called, but I saw it when I was up there before. And it honestly looks like the tree has opened up and some of the inside is on the outside. And they're famous for the guys make walking sticks out of them. I'm gonna try to pick one up while
Oh,
I'm up
yeah.
there.
Got diamond willows.
Yeah, there you go.
There's
But those are the
Mark White.
wickedest. That's the wickedest looking tree I've ever seen.
Mark White, your camera's not on.
Yeah, I see that.
Caffeine's isn't on yet either. There it is. Hi, caffeine.
There's caffeines.
Hi, what's up?
Ah,
Doggone fine.
price of everything nowadays, guy.
Boy, that's no joke.
There we go.
How did you do that onto your side and then back? My goodness.
Mark's talented.
What's that? Sorry.
I was wondering how you got yourself twisted so you're sideways and then back so quick.
He's a stunt driver.
Mhm.
You fly last weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to the field right now. It's a bit late, but yeah, I still have time to do some fly.
Which plane you flying?
It's the Japanese R because I'm flying at my RC field, RC club.
Uh-huh.
So it's often that we have very very tall grass and not really
Yeah, I'm
maintained.
coming.
So yeah, I don't wanna risk my P40, especially since it's wing mounted landing gear. I'm not sure if if it
So,
hits the grass
Caffeine,
and
is
yeah,
it yesterday, today, or tomorrow there now?
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
It's Saturday there?
Yeah.
That's
Lordy,
pretty
lordy.
weird.
We're talking into the future.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, yeah, it's the funny thing. Yeah, I want to tell you something. Yeah, it's normal, but it was funny to me that back then, when I first came to the U.S. I left Indonesia, Friday morning, and then I got in the States, still Friday in the afternoon.
There are some people flying fast jets who've actually
Yeah.
left there and got to the west
Yeah.
before they left.
Yeah. So yeah, it was funny experience for me. Like, whoa, the longest Friday I've ever had.
Well, wait till you flying back.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I'm doing my work. I mean, yeah, I wanna take my family back to the States.
Well, that would be
I'm
fun.
not sure. Yeah.
Mark, what's happening with you?
With who? Me?
You, yeah.
Well, it's good to be on here, John. I've been getting through some health problems. Those are behind me. And I got a son who's having a lot of problems with drugs. And that's kind of taken a lot of my energy and my time. But on the brighter side, um, things are starting to happen. From the 24th to the 27th, I think the days are of April, we got permission to have a stunt camp at Triple Tree, uh, which normally would not be open that time of year for modeling.
Hmm.
But we got about, I think we have maybe 27 pilots coming, several with their wives. It's a wonderful place. Um, Sparky's been there and he knows what Triple Tree looks like. And it's no contest. We're just going to practice. We're going to have some clinics.
That sounds like the old stunt school that
Yeah.
Randy Smith used to run.
Yeah. This is probably the maybe 7th or 8th year we've done this. Usually we normally do it during Joan All week. But there are some issues with that. The event gets so busy, we get overflies, and guys are a little hesitant to bring their Nats airplane and maybe have a midair with it.
Mhm.
So this year we're having the stunt camp all alone, which is we did it one of the year and it was very successful.
If you've never been, you got to go at least once.
I'm sorry, Spark.
If you've never been there, you got to go at least once. I've been there twice.
You do. You got to see the place. Sparky's right. It's
unbelievable.
almost 500 acres. It's devoted half to full-scale aviation, and the other half to flying
So
models.
when is this event going to be?
Well, we're going to be there 3 times. First one is going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in April, the 25th, 4th, 5th, and 6th, I think the days are. And it's no contest again, and it's not quite a fly-in. It's really for guys to get ready for the contest season.
Tune them up.
I'm sorry?
To tune them up.
Yeah. And they're not charging us a fee to get in. We're just going to collect donations, which is what they did last time. Then there's Joan All week, which is probably the 2nd week in May. I don't have the calendar in front of me. And the difference is you get, I don't know, 10 or 12,000 people coming, the great majority in RC, of course.
There was 30,000 people when I was there.
Yeah, coming in and out for the week, you get these huge numbers of people. And we started doing training flights with little ring rat planes on electrics. And that's what kind of gave us a lot of traction there. And then they're doing a Knoll in the fall, Joe Knoll in the fall, which is, I'd have to look it up. It's probably the last week of September into the first week of October. I'm lucky that Will Davis is my partner down there, and he lives about an hour and a half away. So I make the trip. I'm going to make it 3 times this year. And for me, it's 11 hours a drive from Delaware down to Triple Tree. It's just a neat place.
The
Very
best part
special.
about it is if you've never, it has grass circles that are better to fly on than pavement.
Mm.
Yeah,
And that is saying something. The grass is a putting green, and you could taxi around all day long on the ground and not worry about a hole.
that's true. We got lucky, and I made a blind phone call and got the right person, and he agreed to do this, and he found the funding for it, and we've had a great time since I think 2011 may have been the first year we're there.
How much would you say that grass cost them to put in? 30, 40,000?
The 3 circles, Sparky, were 70.
70,000, and it's, oh man, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, they each have their own center sprinkler that's recessed below the ground. They have like a 1 to 2% grade from center, so the water
Drains
slopes
away.
away.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sparky's right. I know it's not convenient for a lot of people, but while you can, you really should hop a ride and go down there and see what's going on. They'll have maybe 50 or 60 vendors. The RC line has stuff that you've never seen. A lot of turbines, but a lot of big, big, gorgeous airplanes. And everyone with their trailers, they probably have, I don't know, maybe 400 RVs come in.
That are $500,000 a piece.
Oh, they're spectacular. But then again, you have a lot of people in tents, in small units. Um, Will and I, he's nice enough to share his little one with me. It's about a 30-footer, and we stay on site, which is really the most fun. So that's coming. Second week, I think it is in June. Will and I go to Brodak with Sparky will be there. A lot of guys come there, and
That's the best contest of the year if you can't go to
yeah,
Jonah Hall.
yeah. I said this once in a review that I think if there was no flying at Brodak, a lot of people would still come. There's just a camaraderie there. Everyone seems to know where they used to pitch their tent, and it's just, I mean, it's a lot of flying, but it's very relaxing. It's just a great week. Ends, I think, usually the day before Father's Day, so you can kind of back up and figure out where that is. Of course, we've got the Nats, which is the first Sunday in July. And then I see that all kinds of other contests are popping up. I've seen it on YouTube, on where else did I see it? Oh, Facebook. A lot of people are advertising. Of course, if you go on Stunt Hangar, you'll find the best review, the best knowledge of where contests are. So things are starting to get busy, which is good. I'm kind of looking at it to keep my position unless I'm fired until April of next year. And I hope by then I can get the things done that I think we should get done.
You'll have to die to get fired.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a line of people waiting for the job. But sometimes you got to be the squeaky wheel. And one of the things that kind of bothered me the last couple of years at the Nats, of all things, it was very little, but it bothered me. And it was the T-shirts that AMA provided for all the volunteers. And the reason it bothered me is that they used to say what your title was. So if you were the event director, it'd say event director. Your shirt only said event. If you were a judge, it said judge. Well, money gets tight, and they made a decision, I understand it, to have every shirt be the same and just say volunteer. And it came up in our judges committee that, we're not crazy about that. So this year, I spoke to Yolanda at AMA, and she approved that we're not going to go with the shirts that everyone else is going with. I know some people that can turn out really nice T-shirts, but they're going to say, the name of the name of the position that people are filling, just to make you feel better about it. So, most of the time, getting along is not a problem, but if you feel strongly about something, you got to get out there and do it. And I'm not afraid to do that. And
I think my shirt, when I judged appearance, had my name on it.
yeah, yep,
And
absolutely.
It said appearance judge on the back.
Yep. So, so it's a long answer to a short question, John, but we all have other things to do besides modeling.
We do.
I'm hoping this year I can do a lot more flying. The Worlds last year made it a long year. There's a lot of work for not just me, Paul, and everyone involved. But I think we pulled it off well. The Nats ran well. So this is more of a normal year. And I hope everyone enjoys flying and getting out there. And under a non-Pampa tag, we're working to put together a grassroots effort to get people into control line flying. But that's not a Pampa function. That's just going to end up derailing. It's an AMA function.
Yeah.
They just
So,
did such a good
Well,
job.
yeah.
Interesting enough, Mark, and I wish I had the dates. See, we've got, I think, 5 or 6 contests out here in the West that
Well, they may be on Stunt Hangar.
they might be, but
They
I
might
mean,
be.
it starts with the Southwest Regionals in February, and
Yep.
then the VSC in March,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's 2 or 3 contests that are held at the we call it the Whittier Narrows, which is Los Angeles area.
Yep.
But then the big one is the Golden State Championship.
Yep. That's a major one.
That's a major one. And then the other major one is the Northwest Regionals up in Oregon.
Yep.
And
And
that
you got
Northwest Regionals, I've been to that. And the last one I went to, they had 47 control line events being flown.
that's fantastic.
47.
Yeah. Somehow we need to do a better job at getting people to come to those things who are not currently in control line and just let them see what goes on.
Yeah.
I think we
I had
missed
the
an
suggestion.
opportunity.
I had the suggestion that we make Stunt an Olympic event. That
Never
way,
happened.
I know, but we can
Well, I guess if you can do some kind of dancing and some of the other things you do,
tiddlywinks. I think they.
yeah. My only hesitancy to than that, and I'll call and write anybody, is that I think of all the control line events, when you think about it, control line stunt for someone who hasn't seen it can be a boring event.
Yeah, it's like watching somebody golf. If you're
Yeah.
not really into
Yeah.
golf,
Whereas something like combat, something like team speed,
combat racing,
yep,
carrier, things
carrier,
like that.
yeah,
Those people can relate to immediately.
absolutely.
If you educate first, it's like when they're doing golf, the announcer doesn't just say, "Well, so and so's up. Oh, he hit one out. He said one onto the green." They'll explain the difficulties of the course and what the guy is trying to do. Oft times,
Yep.
to make it interesting for the people that
Yeah.
that's not their normal everyday sport, and that's what would have to happen if control line stunt was ever to become. But if you think about it, it has all the makings of an Olympic event.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could see that. I'm not sure how exciting archery is, for example, to watch.
There you go. There's
You
fun.
know,
Bowling.
I guess if you're close, maybe you can see where on the target, but they're so accurate that I don't think our event would put people to sleep. I imagine it's a long queue for someone to think about it and who do you talk to and
Yeah.
but whatever we can do, but we got a lot of good contests coming up all over the country. And
That's true. When I lived in Wisconsin, that was one of the nice things about living there. On any given weekend, within 500 to 600 miles, there was a contest. When I lived there, and that meant that,
I'm so envy.
pardon?
I'm so envy with all those contests.
Oh,
there.
well, yeah, it's not that way now. A lot of those old contests have shut down, but it was at that point in time. 600-mile drive, you could do that. You could get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and make it there in time for the pilots meeting.
Everybody died.
Yeah, a lot of them did.
well,
But
that's true. And
but there are still places in this country where that is pretty true. You take the
Yeah.
southeast
Yeah.
or the northeast. That's
Yep.
kind of that way still.
Yep. I think there's a lot of activity in Central and South America, in Europe,
South
Yeah.
Africa.
I'm sure in the African continent in the Far East.
Mhm.
You know, it's a big globe when you look at it that way. But you know, let's keep our end going and have fun and have a great year. And I'm looking forward to it. And it's good seeing you guys.
Yeah.
I'll try to get out here more regularly and you know and tell some bad jokes or something.
How about this for a bad joke? A fella posted on Stunt Hangar about a, a,
Sparky, I've been enjoying your videos and how you do this and how you do that. And, you know, I think at any level, I don't know, I enjoy watching someone who knows what they're doing well.
Well, then you're not watching this channel.
Well, no, I don't care if it's a sculptor, an artist, a photographer, someone who cuts grass. If they do it really well, I enjoy watching them do it. I really do.
Well, I got no clue what I'm doing with this shit, so we're learning as we go.
That's okay. That's part of the fun. So that's my answer, buddy. And let's get out and just have a great year and enjoy ourselves.
gotcha.
Sparky, is Monday or Friday drawing more people?
Oh, Friday's a loser.
Okay.
That's why I quit it for a while.
That's right. I remember that.
And I might do that again. It depends. When I start losing subscribers on a particular day, you know, I can see in my metrics what's going on, you know, and if a day goes down or certain types of video, my best videos, these are terrible. My molding videos, terrible. But I got to do it because I'm building this perky. My best video, believe it or not, is sanding. And how anybody can watch sand, I got no clue. But I get the most views and the most watch time out of me sanding.
Well, um, I remember years ago, you guys will remember this. It must have been late 70s. I'm trying to remember when CA glue first came out. I think it was Satellite City
Yep.
came out with CA glue and I went to a hobby shop and I got a bottle and they loaned me a video, you know, VHS. And I was working, of course, at the time. So Saturday morning, you know, I got up and I started watching it. And maybe about 10 o'clock or so, a neighbor comes over and then Barbara answered the door and he said, "Is Mark home?" She said, "Alan, he is, but he's watching a video." So he said, was he watching a movie? You know, what's he watching? And she said, "No, he's watching a movie about glue." And that kind of got around the neighborhood. Well, there's an exciting guy we got there. And it was true. And I didn't want to leave it. You know, it was just I was learning something so new. It was like the first time you try using monocode, you know. It's not going to be pretty, so I'd like to watch someone who knows what the hell they're doing. So
Well, I know this, as far as this goes, this is my third plug for this wing, and it had another problem, catastrophic problem. This I've spent $100 in mold material. This is $50 right here. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do my wing in two halves like this. This is a mold.
yeah.
So that's what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm getting the two halves ready to go. Because no matter what, I'm getting a perky out of this deal.
Well, you hang in there, you don't quit.
It's very frustrating, but
Well, I bet it is.
I can't let it beat me. Then I'm a loser. Matter of fact, we had a little discussion about on my video about them stupid participation trophies. They were stupid. Did you remember them? 2011 and 2012?
No, I wasn't as involved as I am now.
Everybody got a participation trophy at the Nats. I got two of them, 11 and 12.
So if you entered the contest and showed up, you got a
You
trophy.
got a trophy, yep.
Hmm.
And I thought that was the biggest waste of money I ever seen. I mean, I got them hanging on the wall, but they're kind of hidden. They're off underneath the wing over there. I mean, they're not. I'm not real proud of them. This is not a hobby for that kind of thing, I don't believe, and that's the whole problem that's going on in our country. What are you gonna do?
Well, we'll keep our own little Disney World running.
Yeah.
I'm looking out the window of Caffeine's car there, and all those green trees and all that stuff there. Seeing that?
Long way from the flying field, Caffeine. You've been driving for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it takes me like 30 minutes to get to the flying field. So yeah, it's quite okay. Well, I've been thinking about getting more people interested in control line and building so on and so forth. But you know, I think living in the capital city, it makes it harder to have some flying field nearby. So it's kind of the downside of it, because uh control line is pretty much alive in other cities, other part of Indonesia, because they still have, spaces, yeah, empty field, something like that. So
Now, his internet's a little
uh,
choppy there, but
uh, yeah, it's only the only
Yeah, he's running off of Wi-Fi and he just hit a dead spot.
I wonder what kind of Wi-Fi he's got, because I can't stream like that when I'm driving. No way.
I don't know what he's got.
Starlink, probably.
Probably.
Hmm.
I was going to pose a question to you, Mark, about a profile. If the profile is, instead of vertical like this, if it's laid down like this, is it still a profile?
Yeah, it's called a stick profile.
Yeah,
I would think it is.
interesting.
Now, someone asked me a good question, John, and it happened to do, I think, with Brodak with an event, but the question was that he felt that one of the skills of flying in a profile contest was having to have your engine side mounted and to
No,
have to play with the fuel tank and all that other stuff.
nope.
And I said, yeah, I could see that. Well, they said then if you're allowing electrics to fly in profile, doesn't that kind of change the whole thing? And I said, be honestly, I never thought about that. You know,
Hi, I'm back.
Okay.
Can you
um,
see me?
Yes.
yeah, we see you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, Mark, it don't matter where the engine is. I mean, as long as it's no more than 3/4 of an inch at the leading edge or whatever, how that reads.
Yeah,
I don't see. So what? You got electric? Okay, great. So what? The fuselage is flat. Okay, we look at the twist, the not the twister, but imitation that had Fancher designed with profile with the upright engine in the front. It's got a big radial mount motor that flies in profile.
yeah, that's true.
And then when I went to Huntersville, I had my 60 size Junar profile. You know, it's not the P40 anymore. It's just profile.
Right. Right.
Well, I've seen them with an RC mount with the engine inverted. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
and a profile fuselage. It'll have cheek plates on up the front, but it's 3/4 of an inch or less width at the trailing edge, so
Mhm.
it qualifies as a profile. I've seen them flown and allowed in profile, but I just didn't know about if it is down like with a swizzle stick with a fuselage flat, because it's 1/2 inch or 5/8 inches thick, but it's flat and the engine's upright. You know,
All right. Like I say, the imitation has the upright engine. It's just
Well,
the profile's only a 1/2 inch. It's not
yeah,
4 inch. So what?
1/2 inch. They might say the profile's a 1/2 inch tall and 3 inches wide.
Right. So what?
Well, that might they might look and say it's too wide at the trailing edge. It should be 3/4 of an inch wide.
Well, I don't see an advantage in it because it's probably going to be pretty flexy. When you give it a good hard turn, the whole fuselage is going to bow. But
That's true. That could
Well,
happen.
it's made out of hardwood, so it's a lot stiffer. And if you cross grain balsa on the top and bottom, it's a little box structure and it should be pretty tough.
Yeah.
a lot of forces going on.
Oh yeah,
I
but
think
I don't think you'll see the stab tilting like happens on the twist on a lot of profiles.
yeah.
Fly it. See what they say. Easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
That's for fact. So I wonder, Caffeine, did you get there yet, or did you lock up again?
He
He's
I
must.
locked.
think you locked up.
Looks like he's driving a van. Is that what he has?
No, look at that window there.
Almost there.
He's got a two,
Almost
2 or 4 seat.
there.
Looks like a Honda Odyssey to me. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be.
we can't hear you, Caffeine. You're barely coming through.
You're
Back
barely coming through,
Hello?
Caffeine.
Okay. I'll on first and then go back again.
Okay,
Is it better now?
it's better now.
Yeah. I'm almost there. Like 3 minutes away from getting there.
What kind of car you drive?
It's a Honda, small city car Honda 4-seater.
Not an Odyssey van?
No, it's not a van. It's just small city car.
Okay.
What kind of Wi-Fi are you using?
It's my cellular.
Oh, your
Yeah.
cellular phone. Okay,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
gotcha.
Mine
Hey,
won't.
caffeine.
Yes.
Yeah, if you decide to come stateside, if you move into Pahrump, you'll have a flying buddy anytime you want to go,
Mm-hmm.
which would
All
be
right.
me.
You don't want
Yeah.
to move to the desert.
Well, oops. Hey,
Okay, I'm going to end
I
this
would-
stream and we'll go to the after party. I appreciate you guys watching on YouTube. Make sure you like the video. And if you want to join the after party, you have to go through the Stunt Hangar loop. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let's see if we can get this shut off here. And I'll see you tomorrow. Wait a minute. Let's see. We got a couple YouTube comments here. Charles and I have been chatting about the upcoming contest, and we're thinking about doing the West Coast Swing. Wow, profile could be more rule bending. Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on. And Jeff Riley says 18, whatever that means. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Fair winds, tight lines. See ya.
well,
Okay, we're done on YouTube.
hey,